Alrighty, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. We are alive. This is important. Very good. Okay, so my name is Amin, not Sheikh Amin, not Maulana Amin, not Hasaballah Amin, just Amin. So my name is Amin. Alright, Jazakumullah khair. Who knows what Amin means? Anybody? Amin?
Saving things, or like if you have things, you save it.
Sure, sure. Trustworthy is a very good explanation. Anybody? Huh? Sure, sure. They both come from the same root. A believer, you can call that, sure. So hopefully I am Amin, and hopefully I give you the message clearly and correctly. Now, very good, exactly. So, our talk today, I named it Look Up. So, what is look up? A lot of times when you're playing soccer or you're playing basketball or you're playing any kind of sport, oftentimes you will focus a lot on the thing we're doing right now. If I'm playing soccer, my eyes are down there, seeing where the ball is, where my feet is, what am I doing, completely forgetting about the field in front of me. Completely forgetting about my friends, completely forgetting about my opponents, completely forgetting about the goal, where I'm trying to get. I completely forget all of that, and I'm focused so deeply in this that I lose sight of all of that. And so inshallah today, if we can just get one thing out of today, and that is to get some perspective, I think then we've won. And I'd like to start by reciting a few words from Surah al-Rahman. Who knows Surah al-Rahman? So what does al-Rahman mean? Who knows? Huh?
Kind to like kids or people.
Merciful. I heard merciful. Merciful is right. But what's the difference between al-Rahman and al-Rahim and al-Rahim? Yes, yes. That is one translation. It's a common translation. Who knows in Arabic the difference? Go ahead. Caring, sure. So the difference between al-Rahman and al-Rahim, so al-Rahman and al-Rahim are both from the same category, and that is a jam', plural, right? It's not Rahman, it's not once, it's not twice, it's Rahman. Many times. It's a plural. But there is a slight difference. Al-Rahman and al-Rahim are both plurals, with a slight difference. Who knows the difference between al-Rahman and al-Rahim? Anybody?
The most merciful and merciful.
So the most merciful, they're both technically speaking the most merciful. So al-Rahman is he who gives mercy. One of them is who gives mercy very often. Very often. Like if you count the times, it would be infinite. That's one of them. And al-Rahim, right? Forgive me, I mixed them up. And the other one is about when we are merciful. In the chance that we are merciful, we are incredibly merciful. We go over and beyond in mercy. All right? And so Allah Azza wa Jal has both. He is al-Rahman and He is al-Rahim. He's both. And He named the surah al-Rahman. He starts by saying, al-Rahman allama al-Quran خلق الإنسان علمه البيان الشمس والقمر بحسبان والنجم والشجر يسجدان والسماء رفعها ووضع الميزان ألا تطغوا في الميزان وأقيموا الوزن بالقسط ولا تخسروا الميزان والأرض وضعها للأنام فيها فاكهة والنخل ذات الأكمام والحب ذو العصف والريحان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان. And for someone who might not understand Arabic, even if you don't understand Arabic, you realize something in the ayat that Allah Azza wa Jal reveals in Surah al-Rahman. Something very, very special. Allah Azza wa Jal uses ayat that are very, very short, they're quick, and they all end in the same and, right? And they're very, very quick, one after the other, after the other, after the other. And so just if I didn't know Arabic, if I didn't understand Arabic, I know that there's some sort of sequence, some sort of action that's happening very quickly. All right? And in cinematography, if someone studied cinematography, they might learn, they might know that when you have multiple shots in series really quickly, one shot, chick, 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 that's considered an action sequence, right? So, you know, someone's running, you get another shot, they're jumping over a car, you get another shot, they're going down some stairs, you get another shot, it's like one after the other, after the other, after the other, and it shows pace. It shows pace. It's moving very, very quickly. And then if you had the privilege of understanding Arabic, you get to see a beautiful miracle. Allah Azza wa Jal, if this was a camera, He might be pointing it one direction, then the other, then the other, then the other, and they might seem like they're unrelated. It might seem like they're unrelated. Allah Azza wa Jal starts by saying al-Rahman, right? His name, one of His names. علم القرآن, when he taught Quran, خلق الإنسان, created mankind. علمه البيان, taught him what to do. And then He goes, الشمس والقمر بحسبان. So if this was a camera, I'm looking at the Shams and the Qamar. What's Shams and Qamar? Sun and the moon. So camera's looking where? Up. الشمس والقمر بحسبان. والنجم, stars. والشجر, trees. يسجدان. والسماء, back up again. رفعها ووضع الميزان, brought it down. Brought down what? Justice. And so the camera's going up, down, right, left, up, down. It's very fast, it's very quick paced. What is the point? What is the point of this? What is Allah Azza wa Jal trying to do?
For the non-religious, they say that Muhammad made this book is to show them that no human can ever make something like this.
Sure, but I mean, I'm not sure if this is what those ayat perhaps speak to me. I'll tell you an interesting thing in these ayat. Allah Azza wa Jal has what we call asad, which is a sequence of ayat, tied together. And He ties each grouping beautifully with, what's the ayat that we hear over and over and over in Surah al-Rahman? Just say it out loud. فَبِأَيِّ Allahu Akbar. Sequence of a grouping of ayat, a sequence of grouping, and فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمْ تُكَذِّبَانِ, and a sequence of grouping, وَفَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمْ تُكَذِّبَانِ, and a sequence of grouping, فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمْ تُكَذِّبَانِ. It's as if they're tied up in these bite-sized pieces of information, right? And so what is the point of this? If we continue on, we see that each grouping talks about something almost completely unrelated to the thing before it. And they're all miracles. They're all incredible miracles. Allah Azza wa Jal talks about the creation of man, talks about how salt water and how He has two types of water touching but not mixing. Right? Like He's talking about miracle after miracle after miracle. Forgive me. He's talking about miracle after miracle after miracle and ends with فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمْ تُكَذِّبَانِ. How could you possibly disbelieve in His ayat? How could you possibly disbelieve in His miracles? And after each one of those, after that entire grouping is done, Allah Azza wa Jal abruptly stops. He abruptly stops. And the ayah follows and says, كُلُّ مَنْ عَلَيْهَا فَانٍ كُلُّ مَنْ عَلَيْهَا فَانٍ وَيَبْقَى وَجْهُ رَبِّكَ ذُو الْجَلَالِ وَالْإِكْرَامِ فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. Miracle after miracle after miracle after miracle, a whole sequence of ayat, all miracles. And Allah Azza wa Jal abruptly stops. And He says, everything on it is gone. كُلُّ مَنْ عَلَيْهَا فَانٍ. Everything that is on this entire beautiful universe, this incredibly calculated universe, this universe where if something was a millimeter, of course, would cause absolute destruction. Incredibly and precisely calculated. Everything exactly where it needs to be. Everything gone. Everything gone. In the way Allah Azza wa Jalla says it, it's as if it's gone in a second. كُلُّ مَنْ عَلَيْهَا فَانٍ وَيَبْقَى. And the only thing that remains is وَجْهُ رَبِّكَ. Allah Azza wa Jalla is the only thing that remains. وَيَبْقَى وَجْهُ رَبِّكَ ذُو الْجَلَالِ وَالْإِكْرَامِ. There is nothing more magnificent than when you look at Allah Azza wa Jalla's creations from that far. When you look at what Allah Azza wa Jalla has created and zoom out so much so that you get that kind of perspective, nothing is more beautiful. And so when we get that, when we understand that, immediately, I don't know about you, but I feel small. I feel very, very small. All these miracles, everything that is happening, everything that Allah Azza wa Jalla has created just for me to exist the way that I am, for me to be here the way that I am, all gone. And Allah Azza wa Jalla is the only thing that remains. And so it makes me feel incredibly small. It makes me feel incredibly, incredibly small. And so if I am small, and in the grand scheme of things, perhaps for someone who doesn't know, I would seem insignificant and I don't matter. What is my goal? What am I trying to do in this dunya? What is my legacy? What am I leaving behind? What is the purpose of all of this? Why am I even born? This whole thing is happening, all these miracles are happening, and at the end of it, كُلُّ مَنْ عَلَيْهَا فَانٍ, everything dies. Why? Like, what's the point? I don't get it. What is the point? And so, you ask yourself, why am I in this? Why am I a Muslim? Why am I trying to be a good Muslim? Right? Why? What's the point? And so, an easy answer, some people will say, oh, Jannah. I'm doing this to get into Jannah. I want you guys to ask yourselves, what do you want from this dunya? Like, what is in Jannah that you like so much that you want? We hear so much about Jannah, this incredible infinite place. Everything is infinite in Jannah, right? Everything we want before we even ask for it is where we want it. I want to eat this thing, I don't even have to ask for it, I already have it. Right? And then we get to know that in Jannah, we will have wealth so much that we can't even count it. We have so much wealth, we can't even count it. We have so much property, we can't even see the end of it. Jannah is so vast and so wide that if we walk for the rest of our lives are infinite, by the way, but if we walked infinitely, we would never reach the end of it. So what's the point? I don't get it. Why do I want to have wealth so large, so great, that I can't even count it? What's the point? Shouldn't I just want what I want? Like, why do I gotta have that extra stuff? It's not like I'm going to use it. Right? So like, what is the point? Is the point maybe that I'm afraid of Nar? Maybe that's the point. I just don't want to be in Nar. I don't want to be hurt. I don't want to be in that kind of pain. Is that what it is? I just don't want the suffering. So maybe I'm trying to be as good a person as I can be, just so that I don't end up in Nar. Does that make sense? Does that make sense to you? Like, why are you here? Why are you trying to be a good person? Why are you listening to me? Why aren't you like outside playing PlayStation or for hasanat? What do you want to do with these hasanat? So go to Jannah and then? You want to go to Jannah and enjoy yourself in Jannah, but somehow you still feel a little empty. Like you'll ask yourself, what's the point? Why can't I just do this here? You know what? I'll just live my life. I'll eat what I want. I'll play when I want. I'll chill when I want. Do anything I want. Screw everything else. Like why not live like that? Go ahead. Okay. Why are you trying to please Allah? It's a hard thing to answer, isn't it? No, seriously, it's a hard thing to answer. It's a very difficult thing to answer. I'll take one more.
my opinion is do all the hasanat so you know if you deserve the Jannah.
Okay, so you're doing the hasanat to know if you deserve the Jannah. What does that do for you though? It feels weird. So I'm going to ask you a question. I don't know about you guys, but back in the day, when I still had a little bit more time, I used to play a lot of video games, like a ton. And I noticed something. If I play a video game and I start using some of the cheat codes, like, you know what, I need some more gold so I can buy this thing or that thing, right? And so I put in like, get me gold. And it gives me like 1,000 pieces of gold for free, you know? I noticed something about myself. I stopped playing that game in about like a week or so. It got boring. Like, why did it get boring? Because I was playing it. I would have played it for another month. I would have played it for another 2 months. Why did I stop playing that game once I used the cheat code?
Because you already
Because I already
had everything.
had everything. But that's exactly it. Where's the challenge? What's the point?
Like you're not doing any work to do, like to bring anything. Like you just press some codes and you get whatever you want.
Right. So you press some codes and you got some prize. My wife plays this game. It's like a fashion game, and you know they'll dress up these dolls and they'll rate them together and they'll get points and they'll do more and more and more and more. And every once in a while, she doesn't have enough points to buy the things she wants. And so she came to me one day and she's like, I mean, you're a programmer. Why can't you just like hack this thing? Just give me like a couple of things, you know? Because it just gets boring. And I told her, when I did that, it got really, really boring. And I stopped playing. I stopped playing altogether. So if we agree, do we agree? Does this make sense? Okay, so we all agree. If that's the case, why do you want Jannah? Isn't Jannah literally a cheat code? I get infinite everything all the time, whenever I feel like it, anytime? Very good. So the pursuit of happiness in itself is happiness, in a way. If it's not challenging, am I not clear enough? Oh, I'm good. Okay. If I'm not challenged, I'll get bored. If I'm not striving for something, I'll get bored. And so by definition, Jannah cannot be the goal. It doesn't make sense. Jannah can't be the goal. I'll get bored. I don't want it. Not if I don't want Jannah if Jannah's the goal. If Jannah's the goal, I don't want it. I'm gonna get bored. I don't want it. So what do I want then? So you gotta ask even deeper. So if Jannah is not the goal, then I can think of it as a nice reward. Sure, of course. A beautiful reward. A magnificent reward. But it can't be the goal. So who knows? Who knows in Jannah? What's one of the lowest places in Jannah? So what is Jannah made of? How many levels? Who knows? 7. Okay, okay. Is the first level of Jannah better than what we have right now?
Yes.
Yeah. Much better. Would if I told you right now, if you die right now, if you do this thing right now, right? If Allah Azza wa Jalla came to you and He said, if you do this thing right now, I'll give you first level of Jannah, right now. Would you do it?
Yes.
So you're willing to leave this dunya right this second and go to first level Jannah?
Yes.
No problem. Easy decision, right? Incredibly easy decision. Okay. What about second level Jannah? But you were happy with first level Jannah. I mean, why is second level Jannah any better? Like, you were happy with 1, why do you want 2?
Because it's even better.
Because it's even better. So if we, something about us as human beings is if we have something, we want twice that. And then when we have twice, we want twice of that. Right? It never ends. It absolutely never ends. Until we get to a level. Does anybody know the highest reward there is that we know of? Anyway. Al-Firdaus is the highest, sure, and it's the best place in Jannah, sure. But what is the highest reward that I could possibly get? That's the highest level in Jannah. Does anybody know? Huh? Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. النظر إلى وجه الكريم يا الله. اللهم ارزقنا النظر إلى وجه الكريم. Say Amin.
Amin.
اللهم ارزقنا النظر إلى وجه الكريم يا رب. That is the absolute highest reward that we know of.
Say it in English, maybe they will get it in Arabic.
Say it in English.
Oh, thank you. Jazakumullah khair. So an-nadharu ila wajhi al-kareem means to be able to be given the ability to look in Allah Azza wa Jall's face in a way that we cannot even imagine. Because when we say face, we just say face because that's the best thing, that's the best way we can describe it because that's what we know. Right? But Allah Azza wa Jalla has His own way, but He will allow us, for those who have earned it, to gaze into His face. Ya Allah. What an incredible thing to have. And when you really think about it, and you let it grow in your heart, before you know it, you want nothing else in this dunya than just that. I just want one look. That's it. I just want one look. I will feel fulfilled. And just like the sister here was saying, it's hard to describe why. It's hard, right? When I asked you, you couldn't quite get the words to describe it. I don't know why, but I feel like I want it. And that is because Allah Azza wa Jalla created it that way. He put it in us. It's not something I can logically explain. It's something that we are born with. It's something that we are born with. We need that. We need that fulfillment. We want to see it. I want to see what I was made of. I want to see it. And it is that drives me. And so if that is the goal, then I understand that Allah Azza wa Jalla, that is the highest reward that I can get. And so that I notice immediately that the reward is not tied to some Jannah or some material thing. It is tied with the Creator Himself. It is tied with Allah Azza wa Jalla Himself. That is the greatest thing for me, is just to see Him. What about talk to Allah Azza wa Jalla? Would you like that? What about the chance to just speak with Allah Azza wa Jalla? Is that not such an amazing gift? And so we find very quickly that anything related to Allah Azza wa Jalla, we just want. We just want. When I want to be a good person, what are the traits? If my mother comes to me, she's like, Amin, you need to be a better person. What are the traits I immediately think of? Like, just give me some morals. What's a good moral to have? Sure, but that's not a moral. What's a moral? Huh? Honesty, very good. Huh? For being respectful, huh? That's okay. Responsible. All of the features, all of the qualities that we strive for are qualities of Allah Azza wa Jalla. Are qualities of Allah Azza wa Jalla. And so we are trying to, at the best of our abilities, mimic Allah Azza wa Jalla. That is what we're trying to do. And so when we understand all of that, we then have to ask ourselves, I'm getting tied up in this mic. If that's the case, then let's ask ourselves a quick question. Imagine Allah Azza wa Jalla created us with the same fitrah. Right? So we still want what's good. That same kind of feeling. When you lie, you feel bad. Like that same feeling. Imagine we were created that same way. But imagine we live in a world where the Creator that created us is evil. Evil. And the things that we would be rewarded for in that crazy universe are the exact opposite of the morals that we know. Lie, steal, cheat. This is what is required if you want Jannah. Imagine just for a second you live in that world. Now you tell me, would you be willing to be a good person? Do you think there would be people somewhere that would be willing to be good people? To remain good people and suffer the consequences of going into Nar? Maybe, perhaps. Okay. Let's hear it out. Who says yes? Why yes? Why would you suffer the consequences and go to Nar just to be a good person?
Because people are doing the same thing right now.
Okay.
Because being a good person, getting the reward of Jannah, but there's still people out there who cheat, lie, steal.
True, but here you're incentivized. You have a reward of Jannah, so you're like, oh, I'm going to do it just to get Jannah, right? But if you're like, listen, if you want to be honest, you're going to go to Nar. You're going to go to hellfire. Would you still do it? It's interesting, right? The interesting thing is, we don't have to look much farther than Muslims. Look at our neighbors here in Canada. A lot of them are atheists, agnostics, non-Muslims. Some people, a lot of them, do not believe that after they die here, they're going to get into Jannah or Nar or any of that. They believe when they die, they die. That's it. That's the end of it. Right? Is there a lot of people like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's plenty. In those people, do you find people who are honest? Don't steal? Don't cheat? Don't lie? That's interesting, isn't it? What do they get out of it? It feels like it's not. Wouldn't they make more money if they cheated? They probably would, right? Maybe they do all the things that we are always like, oh, I wish I was a non-Muslim so I can drink. I wish I was a non-Muslim so I can date, right? They'd be able to do all those things. Because it feels right. It feels right. Even non-Muslims have that fitrah. Allah Azza wa Jalla put it in all of us, so we know what's right and wrong. We know it ourselves. And so, I want you to remember something. This is a hadith by the Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam. This is a hadith by the alayhi salatu wasalam. Alright? We'll say this often. الإثم ما حاك في الصدر وخفت أن يطلع عليه الناس. Ithm, sin, evil doing, is defined as what? Rasulullah, how does he define it? How does he define it? He says, sin is what doesn't feel right in the chest. And you wouldn't want someone else to see you doing it, whatever it is. And so if you're doing something and you're like, I don't know if this is really a sin. Am I really doing something wrong? Just follow the recipe of the Rasulullah. Do I feel right when I do it? And would I be okay with someone seeing me do whatever it is that I'm doing? Right? And so that feeling, non-Muslims have. Atheists have it. Agnostics have it. They show up in rallies protecting us and saying, oh, Islam, you should not be Islamophobic. They show up in the rallies saying, you know what's happening in Palestine should not be. And they stand with the haqq, no matter what the consequences are. And they could face proper consequences. They could face really, really severe consequences. But they do it anyways. And so, what I was trying to say is, at the end of the day, Allah Azza wa Jal put this in us. It doesn't matter if Jannah was the reward or not. If we were truly good people, we would want to follow it regardless. Regardless, we would want to follow it. Fadl.
Isn't it like something if you're a Muslim or like have a religion and you do like really good in like in business, doesn't Allah like there's some people like they get wiped out and this
For some people, yes.
their dunya is their happy place and that's it?
For some people, yes. For some people, yes. And there's opinions on that too, so I'm not even gonna. But yes. So okay, all this is really good. We understand that what we want is goodness, and we also saw that goodness that we defined is defined based on what Allah Azza wa Jal is and what He has. Makes sense. So then, let me ask you this: as a Muslim, can I celebrate birthdays? Wear shorts, listen to music? Some will say yes, some will say no, right? Even in this room, in this tiny room, we will not agree. We won't. We just won't. Some people will be like, oh, there's a hadith that says so, so, and so. And someone will take the same hadith and use it as evidence for the other side. And so what I'm trying to say at the end of the day is there will be difference of opinion. Allah has, Rasulullah says it. He says, and whomever from you guys live long enough, oh, you'll see differences. You'll see a lot of differences. And it's going to happen. It's bound to happen. It's bound to happen. Allah Azza wa Jalla has left certain things vague for a reason. Allah Azza wa Jalla has left certain things vague for a reason. And so, when I have a younger brother. When my brother comes to me and he says, you know, this thing is, you know, my mama says it's haram, but there's this sheikh that says it's halal. Which is it? Like, can I just do it? Why can't I just do it? Why do you gotta complicate things? And so we gotta ask ourselves, at the end of the day, if my goal is to try to get as many of the qualities of Allah Azza wa Jalla and put them in myself, ingrain them in myself. And if my goal is to be good for the sake of goodness, and to be good for Ridha Allah Azza wa Jalla, for Allah Azza wa Jalla's contentness, if this is what I'm trying to do, and that's the big picture, we gotta ask ourselves, what is the importance of these questions. I want you to picture this. Your mother says, "Hey, Amin, go clean your room." All right, so I go up. My room is an absolute mess. It really is, by the way. I'll work on it. But my room is an absolute mess. I got papers every which way. I got like PlayStation controllers like plugged out. There's some horrible thing that happened to a sandwich like 5 years ago, apparently. There's horrible sock smells everywhere you go. It's a disgusting, disgusting mess. And so my mom says, "Go clean your room." So I go. I open my sock drawer. And I spend the rest of the day organizing my socks. And I put them in order from dark color to light colors, and from colored to black and white, and in sizes. Oh, this is my sports row, and this is my business row, this is my fun row. And I spend my entire day doing this. And then I open and I'm like, oh, what's the best way? Should I organize it left to right or right to left? I wonder. You know, I'm going to go on Google. I'm going to go find out what is the most optimum way that I can organize my socks. And I go online. And I spend half an hour. Oh, this guy says do it from left to right, because if you walk into the room, the easiest one you're going to pick is the one on the right. And then some other dude's like, no, you should never do that. The sports one should always be the closest, because like you're running, you know. You get different opinions on 50 million different things. And you're like, okay, so what do I do? What do I do? And you spend the entire day doing that. And then your mother comes in, my mother comes in at the end of the day, and she starts yelling at me. And she says, "Amin, I told you to clean your room." But I have been. I spent the whole day cleaning. Mama, I've never spent a whole day cleaning in my life. I just spent a whole day cleaning. Why is she mad at me? Why is my mother mad at me? You can tell me. Huh?
Because she thinks you no time.
That's one way to think about it. Exactly. I spent my entire day organizing one thing. What is the impact of that one thing that I just cleaned? Like, does my room, if you looked at the room, that room that I just described to you, beautiful, I know. But if you look at that room, like just imagine it in your head. After I've organized the socks, is it clean? But I spent the whole day on it. Why doesn't it look clean? I put all this effort. I had this good intention. I was going to clean. I said, "Hadar mama, I'm going to go." Why wasn't it clean? What was clean was very, very, very specific, hidden somewhere. It's like a deep, 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 deep thing, right? Now I want you to look at this world, at this dunya, the same way. Allah Azza wa Jal says, I want you to be good Muslims. يا أيها الذين آمنوا ادخلوا في السلم كافة ولا تتبعوا خطوات الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين. Allah Azza wa Jal says, "O you who believe, enter into Islam. Become good Muslims. And don't follow the steps of the shaitan. Indeed, he's trying to dissuade. He's trying to distract you. Don't follow in his steps." Allah is just trying to tell you, be a good Muslim. So what do? I spent 3 years of my life figuring out if I should be growing a lihya this long, this long, this long, this long. Where is it halal? Do I cut it this way? Do I'm supposed to grab it this way and then cut? Or am I supposed to have two and then cut? Or should I never touch it? Or maybe I should, cut it up so that it looks nice. Or maybe, you know what? Clean it all together so you can be a better day, so that when you say something, people will listen to you. Wear your hijab this way. Cover it this way. Oh, you're not supposed to show your neck. Oh, show your neck, it's okay, but you have to cover your hair. Oh my God. We're back in the sock drawer again. What I'm trying to say, guys, it is important. It is incredibly important to follow Allah Azza wa Jall's instructions. Allah Azza wa Jall's instructions entail the instructions of the Prophet ﷺ. Right?
Brother,
And so if there's instructions,
I have a life example.
nah.
A life example that happened 15 minutes ago. Somebody left this place, and when I told him, he told me like he doesn't feel that we are following Sunnah, and he can't stand it. And I told him, what exactly you think we did not follow? I don't want to do this here.
It's got
And I'm okay. I told him, why, what you exactly, you thought we know, what's wrong with this? He said, you're using chair in a masjid, and Rasulullah ﷺ never used a chair in the masjid. So this is how narrow someone can look into practicing Islam, and that happened 15 minutes ago. And Jazakallah khair, the best example I had ever heard was fixing your socks while your room is upside down. So, get busy doing, prioritizing your things, and please Allah in major things, and small things Allah will help you towards sorting the differences.
Absolutely, wallahi, absolutely. Jazakumullah fi khair. It is important to understand though, guys, please. Something that is very important to understand. If I was someone who was very stringent, and by the way, I'm speaking to you, and I have these examples because they're real, they're from my life. I used to be a huge slacker. And then I became an incredibly nitpicky Muslim. This is haram, this is haram. I was the haram police. Oh, I was a great haram police. Right? People love me. You know, you're just so charming when you're the haram police. You know, when Allah Azza wa Jalla tells the Rasul, if you were tough, they wouldn't listen to you. I followed that advice. Oh, I followed it really well. And then after that, I was like, oh, I read some more, alhamdulillah. As you read, it opens up your mind a little bit, and you start seeing things. And the more you see, the more you're like, oh, there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 10 ways to do this thing. I didn't even know these existed. Why is it that we're only always told the 2 things? There's like 50. And as you learn, you realize there's options. And then you get to the point where you're like, well, there's too many options. I can do whatever the hell I want. Then it gets too easy, right? I've been through this. Wallahi, I've been through every step of that way. Trust me on this. And so it is important to understand, guys. I could sit here as a nitpicky Muslim and be absolutely content with my idea. I totally believe. It's in my heart. I believe that what you're doing is haram. And I reach out to you because I don't want you to end up where I think you might end up. I don't want you to end up in that. Because as a Muslim brother, I love you. And so I don't want that for you. And so it wouldn't be quite right to make fun of that person because they clearly care for you. They just don't follow the same opinion you do. They just don't see the world the way you do. It's a little different. And then there's the other guy. The other Amin. There's like 50 Amins, by the way. Right? The other Amin who's like, yeah, you're making it too hard. Just live your life. You know? And if I see that guy, I might be like, oh, this guy's too easy. He's not a real Muslim. He calls himself Muslim just by name. His name is Amin, but he's anything but. Right? Wallahi, I'm serious. It is so easy. It is so easy to make someone feel insignificant. To make someone feel like their opinion doesn't matter. That it's so easy. It's just like, how do you know? And so it is important that we understand, listen, where I am because of Allah Azza wa Jal put me here. And I'm supposed to strive to be better. And when someone comes to me with an opinion, listen. Hear them out. Seriously. Listen. When someone has an opinion, guys, listen. Hear them out. Maybe even if you know they're liars. You know they lie often. You know they're not much of, they don't pray very often. Listen. Wallahi, listen. You would be surprised how much you can learn from people when you give them a chance. Wallahi, you would be surprised. And so we need to be a little bit open-minded. We need to be able to give people the chance to show us what they know. But in the grand scheme of things, like I said, we need to set our priorities a little bit better. Like, it is true. We have things that we need to know, and things that we need. There's things that we could benefit from knowing, and things that we need in our lives. As I grow, I work in software, for example. As I get deeper into software, I realize there's issues that we have. Intellectual property, things that I create that are just code. You can copy and paste it. I worked for years and years and years, and then somebody can just copy and paste it. And boom, they got it. And in Islam, if you ask the shuyukh what you're allowed to do, some will tell you it's haram to sell software. Wallahi, some will tell you it's haram to sell software. And they have good fiqh evidence to back it, but perhaps are missing in the fiqh al-waqi', the fiqh of reality, what is happening, how the software is being used, what is being used for. But in Islamic fiqh, oh my Lord, you couldn't beat them. Their evidence is amazing. And so it is important to understand what to listen and what to learn from the opinions that we hear. So when I hear an opinion, hear it out. Okay, I'll hear it out. I hear an opinion about whether or not I am allowed to listen to music. And a sheikh comes and says, for this particular reason, this hadith says so, so, and so, and therefore you cannot listen to music. Sounds convincing enough. I don't know anything about sahih hadith. What do I know about ilm al-rijal? I don't know any of these things. I'm not a faqih. What do you know from usul al-fiqh? What do we know? You know nothing. So the best thing I can do is just take you at your word. Some dude comes to me and says music is haram because X, Y, Z. Sounds kind of convincing, but sure. What do I know? I don't know anything. And so then, to get past that obstacle, we need to just look at what we do in regular, normal life. Who here knows how to drive? Okay. How does your car work?
So first of all, you press the brake and
Okay.
then you make a Z.
What happens when you press the brake?
Oh, you mean like the car move?
No, when you press the brake, what happens? The car stops. How does it stop? So like when I press this thing, my whole car stops.
Yeah,
Why? How?
because you need it to stop.
But the physics behind it, how does that work?
Because you put your hands to make it stop.
That doesn't make sense. And so okay, I'm gonna do this. Did I stop? I'm still moving. That doesn't make sense. Huh?
It stops because
Hey, guys.
the only reason the car is moving is because of the wheels. And if the wheels stop, the whole car stops.
So how do you stop the wheels?
Brake.
The brake pads. Okay, so how does the brake pad work? I can keep asking how and why and how and why. And the reality is, guys, none of us know how our car actually works fully. None of us know how to service it. When you take your car and you service it, and they tell you got to use, W30 or the W50. Oh, for the Civic, you have to use the W30. Oh, what do you got? You got a Mercedes? You're flying high, eh? Anyways, so what do you got? You got to use this particular glass, this particular oil. You can only use premium. Why? Why do you have to use premium? So why? So what do you mean that's how it's built? Why can't I just put like a thing? It seems like it works for all the other cars. So then you're trusting whoever is telling you this. So you're trusting them. You're trusting the manufacturer. So Mercedes says, hey, you gotta put premium. So you say, okay, I'll put premium. Why are you trusting Mercedes? Why are you trusting?
They're the ones that made the car.
So they're the ones that made it, so you're trusting them. So what that means is you recognize when someone knows something that you do not. Is that true? You recognize it. When you're sick and the doctor says, take this piece of medicine, it will make you feel better, and you take it. Who are you trusting then? You're trusting the doctor. Could the doctor be lying to you so that you can just pay more money?
Yes.
Maybe. It is illegal, but why wouldn't they do it? On the DL. Why not? So really, guys, seriously. Hey, take it easy. So, my point is, we trust people all the time. But when we trust people, I'm not gonna go to my plumber and be like, yo, plumber, can I take an Advil pill for this knee injury? And he says, yeah, you gotta take Advil and a bit of amoxicillin and whatnot. And I'm like, yeah, I'll go get it right now. If I did that, I'd be an idiot. Like, why? Why does that sound absurd? She's dead man walking right now. Seriously, why wouldn't I listen to my plumber? So what does he know about medicine? Nothing, right? So I wouldn't trust him. So I, in my regular life, if some shady person with a shady van came, hey, come and have some candy, I probably wouldn't get any, would I? Right? Why? Because something in me knows when something's right or wrong. I know. So if that's the case, when a faqih, my faqih here, by the way, is just some dude. I have never seen that man pray in my life. In Ramadan, he smokes. And in Eid, he celebrates by partying. Alright? And he tells me, brother, music is halal. Just enjoy yourself. And I listen to him. Does that make sense?
No.
Why doesn't it make sense? So, we want to know the truth in fiqh. We go to the people that know. I have to go and see the imam that studied his entire life. Spent years studying. Studying what? He studied fiqh based on knowledge that people behind him spent years on and died and handed that knowledge on to the next person, and they spent years on it and then died and passed it on and passed it on and passed it on until we got this beautiful result that we have. And then I go, oh, you know what? I'm going to restudy this whole music thing. Let's get to the bottom of that. Yeah, good luck. Right? And so my point is, we should really listen to the people who have done the study. We should listen to the people who have done the work. And we will find multiple opinions in that. I don't know if you know, by the way, the Sahaba didn't all used to pray the same way. Did you know that?
No.
Who here knew that? Did you know that the Sahaba, a lot of times, like some would say Basmala out loud, some wouldn't. Some would read Surah Al-Fatiha and some wouldn't. Some would have to do wudu if they threw up and some wouldn't. There's so many differences in prayer. An incredible amount of difference. But never in the history of the Sahaba do you hear that some Sahabi did not pray behind some other Sahabi because he thought he was a kafir. He's praying along. No. All the Sahaba prayed behind each other, even though they know that, for example, this person just threw up. So in my books, I would have to do my wudu again. But he didn't. He just led prayer. And yet the Sahaba still followed. Because the big goal, the core, what it is that they're trying to do, the hadaf, what are they trying to achieve? That is unchanged. In my heart of hearts, I know exactly what I want. Alright?
It's
So,
important, Sheikh, to point that the differences were on the minor, where there is some room of opinions, not the major things, right?
absolutely. Jazakumullah khair. And so, my point is, there will always be differences of opinion. And so it is important for us to pick someone that we trust, not just some Joe Schmo, someone that we trust, that has the proper credentials, someone who has done the work, and pick that person and listen to them. And if you don't like the way they've explained it, if the logic doesn't sound right, find someone else who will convince you with proper logic, also with proper certification. Not just any Joe Schmo. Alright? And so once we have that, we understand that the core that we have is those items that Allah Azza wa Jalla has. Al-Sidq, al-Aman, al-Rahman, al-Ilm, al-Hikmah, honesty, truth-telling, justice, mercy. These things, these are the core behaviors, these are the core morals of a proper Muslim. إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. What's akhlaq? Huh? Manners, good morals. I have been sent, says the Rasul, I have been sent to do what? To perfect good morals. To perfect it. And so this is the goal. This is the goal. The goal is when I say I'm going to be here at 5 o'clock, I be there at 5 o'clock. When we have these apps that we install, right? And it says, yo, just click agree if you agree. And I click agree even though I can't agree because I never read it. I'm going to ask myself, am I being honest? Am I going to be asked on that, right? We have to really think about these things. Right? Like, if all I'm worried about is what the news tells me. So the news, there's a fad now, talk about niqab. Let's talk about niqab. Oh, how unjust it is. Oh, how unjust it is that they don't show their face. We need to be able to identify people. How unjust it is that they define what it is that women have to wear and what not wear. There's maybe 300 niqabis in Canada. Maybe. I'm not saying it's not an important issue. Wallahi, it is. Absolutely it is. But when I have a person dying at night in Canada due to cold because they're homeless, where's the justice in that? Where's my priorities? Is this what Allah Azza, when I go in front of Allah Azza wa Jal and I get asked, I'd be like, oh, I saved the rights of the niqabi, but the man died. I'm sorry, it couldn't happen. How easy is it to help that man in need versus how easy it is to affect change in legislation? I'm not saying it is not important. I'm saying we should get our priorities straight. We should get our priorities straight. Something that we know for a fact that a single soul is worth everything. And so we need to get our priorities right. And to get our priorities right, we need to focus on our goal. If my goal is Rida Allah, if my goal is Allah Azza wa Jal's contentness, and that's what I'm trying to do, and if the goal is to get to Jannah and be able to see Allah Azza wa Jal, then I need to I need to prioritize my items in such a way where I know I can get there. Where I'm not focused in my little sock drawer. Right? I need to clean the room. And that's all I have for you guys. If you have any questions, please bring them up.
We have a question here.
I don't see.
Yes.